Welcome to episode 7 of the Clappercast, where we talk all things hockey. I'm Burke.
And I'm Sean.
And today is Monday the 26th, 7th?
Fifth.
I don't know.
There's a clock in the bottom of the screen.
Oh,
there.
yeah, okay. Monday, February 25th, and it's trade deadline day.
So we've got a special edition coming out today where we discuss all of the, we'll say, important trades that we actually knew the players involved.
Yeah, there's a few that we'll be kind of brushing over.
Yeah, we'll probably mention it, but there's no discussion really to have there. Not as important trades as some of the highlight reel ones we've seen so far.
Yeah, anything with future considerations, I think we're just going to skip over with some exceptions.
Yeah, when a guy's getting traded around as much as future considerations is, you really got to think there's something wrong there, so we don't want to talk about it too
I got
much.
traded a lot today,
Yeah.
so I guess we'll jump in, and we're going to start a few days before now, on February 20th. So Boston Bruins acquired Charlie Coyle in exchange for trading Ryan Donato and a 2019 fifth-round pick to the Minnesota Wild. What are your thoughts on this trade?
I like it. I think Coyle's he's a Boston player. Not only is he from Boston, he's going to fit quite well there with Charlie Coyle.
Yeah.
But he just, the way he plays, he's a bigger physical forward that I think is going to mesh pretty well in Boston.
Yeah, I think this is a good trade for Boston. They didn't give up a lot.
Yeah.
And
I mean,
Donato's
Donato's
going to be a good playoff guy for them.
Yeah, and Donato's a good player going to Minnesota too. He's had some pretty good plays in Boston, and they're probably going to enjoy him in mini. But I think Boston got out pretty good with this.
Yeah. So the next trade was the day after, February 21st. So the Washington Capitals acquired Carl Hagelin. That sounds weird still. From the LA Kings in exchange for a 2019 third-round pick and a conditional 2020 sixth-round pick. And I don't remember what the conditions are on this. Probably if he re-signs.
Yeah, re-sign or playoff round or something.
I mean, I like it now that I've seen him play a couple games. He fits in with the fourth line really well, can PK. He's a fast guy.
He kind of fits all those needs that Washington had going into the deadline, right?
Yeah, it's just weird having him on the Capitals.
As he's been such a big part of rival teams over the last 6-7 years.
He's been on the Rangers and the Penguins, and both those teams knocked us out a lot. So it's very weird to have him on the team.
The best way to subdue your rivals is to take all of their forces onto your own side, right?
Yeah, I mean, we've already got Niskanen and Orpik.
Yeah, which I immediately realized that we could be setting up the perfect second-round overtime winner against Pittsburgh in Game 7, where Carl Hagelin scores off an assist from Orpik and Niskanen, which would just be outstanding considering the history of those three players.
That would be quite the heartbreaker, I have to admit. Yeah, so I don't know. I think that was a good trade. I don't think they really overpaid for him. He's a good player. Yeah. Let's move on to another bigger trade that happened the day after, so February 22nd. This is when Columbus Blue Jackets acquired Matt Duchene and Julius Bergman in exchange for Vitaly Abramov, Jonathan Davidson, a 2019 first-round pick, and a conditional 2020 first-round pick, which would go to Ottawa Senators. So what do you think about that one?
So this is a tough one because Columbus is basically banking all of their hopes on this season from this and the subsequent trades they made. They are giving up a lot of their future to have now four of their four best players to be UFAs after the season. So they're banking on this one playoff run, and they're going all in. So I think they've done well acquiring players who are going to help that cause. I think Matt Duchene is a really, really good player. He's going to fit in really well with Panarin, and he's going to help their offensive side because that's kind of, over the last few years, Columbus has been good, but they've never had that star talent to take them to the next level. They've always been more of a win by grinding type.
Yeah, or a one kind of horse town kind of thing. Like,
it's kind of been Panarin the whole time.
Panarin and then Rick Nash, yeah. So now they have a bit more talent, front-end talent.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think this trade was pretty well balanced. I'm not sure what the conditions are on that 2021. It might be if he re-signs or if they win playoffs. I don't know.
I think it's re-signing because there's one guaranteed first rounder and one conditional one that is if he re-signs, I believe.
Yeah, so I wanted to talk about Duchene. We'll get into some of the Columbus trades. We're just going to do the trades as they happened, and then afterwards we'll discuss who won, who lost, that sort of thing.
kind of team overviews.
But with Duchesne going to Columbus, I wanted to talk about if he will re-sign there. It seems like such a stretch that he will if Panarin and Bobrovsky leave, but I think if one of them stays, there's a lot greater of a chance he'll stay.
I agree.
Because, I mean, he's escaped the shit show of Ottawa, and before that he escaped Colorado being pretty bad, really bad, and I don't know, I feel like he would be looking for more consistency.
Yeah, like it's been hard following Duchesne's career the last few years because he's chasing success and he's never been able to find it. So he's kind of jumping from situation to situation that looks like he'll be able to do it. And you have to, like, if maybe Columbus fizzles out and doesn't really go very far again in the playoffs, so that's probably going to be hard for him to re-sign there, especially if they don't have much of a future now.
Yeah, I mean, he turned down that 8x8 from Ottawa.
Yeah.
And now he's going to be a UFA at the end of the season for Columbus.
And again, with him turning down that offer, I think he also made it clear again that he's looking for success now. That he said it was a fair offer, but he didn't want to take it because, whatever behind the scenes, we don't know, but he's followed success in the past, so we can kind of figure he's going for it again.
I think if Brett and Bob are out, he's out too.
It's more likely, I think.
So we'll have to see. It'll probably be interesting to see who does what first, who makes the first step out of those three, and additional people that have gone there now.
I think so. But, and going over to Ottawa off this trade too, that Vitaly Abramov is, according to Columbus fans, media people, he's good. He's been he's supposed to have a pretty high upside.
Yeah, I mean Ottawa really needs picks too.
Yeah,
like they really need picks now.
They're gonna have like an insane prospect pool coming out of the next draft or two,
as opposed to Columbus.
Yeah, where Columbus.
So we'll get into that again, but anyway, let's move on to the next trade here.
So we have here on the 22nd, the Capitals acquiring Nick Jensen and a 2019 fifth for Madison Bowie and a second in 2020. So, as the Caps fan who has talked about Bowie in the past, how do you think about that?
I like it. Solid defender who's got good numbers, good advanced stats on a poor Detroit team. It's interesting that he signed before even playing.
Yeah, I kind of joked about that.
A few of these trades where they've had that happen. The trade and sign, not the sign and trade.
Yeah.
But I like it. Bowie kind of sucked in his opportunities given to him. He didn't really shine. Yeah. And he's been passed on the depth chart by better, younger players.
All of them?
Yeah, so he wasn't really going to get any more opportunities to excel. So I'm glad that he's getting a chance in Detroit.
Yeah, and the other thing you had mentioned to me is that he didn't really have a place on the roster, but he also was not exempt from waivers anymore.
He was stuck in limbo land. He was stuck in Corrado zone. Remember him?
Yeah.
Yeah, so he had been called up and was playing for the NHL team and just was a healthy scratch. They couldn't send him down without going through waivers. So at least this way they were able to throw him into a trade.
Yeah.
Maybe it looks a little unbalanced, but I think it was fair.
For a trade like that, you're getting something back for an asset that you might have lost for nothing otherwise.
Exactly.
And the Capitals are in a position where they can make a trade to fill a specific need. They don't necessarily have to win the trade in terms of sheer value, but they can make a trade like that fills a need that they have.
Yeah, and Jensen re-signed, so they already got some value out of there. They can always just trade him.
Yeah, they now have a longer-term defenseman. If he works out, then great. If he doesn't, well, he's got a couple years left that aren't too expensive.
He's looked good. He's looked good in the few games so far. Yeah, I like the trade.
Cool. So next we have the Dallas Stars acquiring Ben Lovejoy from the New Jersey Devils for Connor Carrick and a 2019 third.
So they acquired the Reverend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Going down to Texas, that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, fair trade.
Yeah,
Nothing really much to say about that.
Dallas has perpetually had an issue with defense and goaltending, so to acquire what, to my knowledge, is a somewhat steady defenseman.
Yeah.
Connor Carrick's also a defenseman, but he's kind of had an issue cracking lineups. So
yeah, originally Washington Capitals. He's gone to Toronto. It kind of got.
Yeah.
I don't know if he got they didn't sign him or if he got traded. But
I think
yeah.
it was a waivers pick, actually.
Yeah, I mean, the Devils are definitely in rebuild mode.
Yep.
And they're definitely sellers this deadline. And yeah, I mean, younger guy.
And they also got a pick out of it, so if they're in that kind of limbo rebuild mode, then it's a third rounder, but still better. That's still an asset for something.
I was quite surprised at Dallas signing or trading for anybody, given where they are. But
well, they're right in the middle of the
happen, I guess,
wild card in the West, I think.
And I guess their owner making those horseshit comments and stuff once playoffs. So
yeah. So staying on the Dallas Stars note, they also got Matt Zuccarello from the Rangers for a conditional second in 2019 and a conditional third in 2020 that I can't remember the conditions on, but I think they can both jump up to a first-round pick, actually, if the conditions are met. So this one, unfortunately, Zuccarello got injured in the first game that he played in Dallas.
He got 3 points?
Yeah, I think he had a goal and assist and was +3. Something like that. Yet he played really, really well.
Broke his arm,
out for a month. So that's really unfortunate.
Very shitty. It could potentially be a situation where he only plays one game for Dallas and they lost 2 picks.
Yeah, and that's, you don't want to give up 2 picks for that.
And he could just re-sign with the Rangers.
Yeah.
And Zuccarello was a huge piece of that Rangers team, so I could see him going back. Because you saw there's a video where Henrik Lundqvist got asked about Zuccarello, and he got very emotional, tearing up. Yeah, so I mean, he was a huge part of that team, so I think he'll probably just go back.
Yeah, I don't doubt that he would. And I mean, if as long as there isn't too much turnover in the Rangers locker room, like, he was a huge part of what was there before. Clearly, like you just described, Lundqvist and him were really close. So guys in the locker room probably love the guy.
Yeah.
Zuccarello himself, I think, he's one of the more underrated forwards in the league. That he's consistently a good player. He's consistently putting up points, and he's got the skill set to succeed in the NHL right now.
Yeah.
That, he isn't as flashy or as high a point producer as some others, but he's still reliable and solid.
I think that's just because he came over later, because he's already like 30, 31 or something.
That could be. He kind of missed those youth years.
He came over a little bit late.
Yeah.
That's really unfortunate for Dallas. Yeah. I feel for them for that one, but
I can only imagine, like, the GM watching that.
Yeah, it's so rough. He was on fire too.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll move on to the next one.
So, another Columbus-Ottawa trade, where we have Ryan Dzingel going to Columbus as well, and returning to Ottawa was Anthony Duclair, a 2020 second and a 2021 second.
This one's interesting because of Duclair.
I still think, regardless of Duclair, the Senators got a lot for Dzingel.
They definitely overpaid. Yeah, Columbus,
big time.
I mean, Duclair's definitely somebody who was in the headlines and stuff for bashing heads with Tortorella.
Yeah, and I mean, he's on his 5th team, and he's only 23, I think, right now.
Definitely must be some sort of head case thing going on there.
Something
where
just can't
figure it out, or the motivation or what. But on
he's
5
a good player.
Teams, he can be a good player.
Like, he had a really good year in Phoenix.
He can be good.
Arizona, pardon me.
Like, he got a nice goal against the Capitals, I think, the last time they played. But I mean, being good every once in a while is not good enough for the NHL, right?
Yeah.
You got to be good consistently.
And you also can't piss off your coach constantly.
Yeah, and if you're not producing offensively, you got to be, voice crack, you got to be sound defensively, right? So, I don't know. But yeah, I mean, those other, they definitely overpaid.
Yeah.
And
like Dzingel, not to bash Dzingel too much, because he has turned into a good midline forward. He's 44 points last year. He was at 44, 45 already this year. So he is still a good player. But he kind of isn't like comparing to other trades, you wouldn't expect him to fetch 2 seconds and a decent kind of work in progress.
Yeah, because if you look at what they got for Duchesne, Bergman, and Dzingel, it's Vitaly Abramov, Jonathan Davidson, 2019 first-round pick, conditional 2020 first-round pick, Duclair, second-round pick in 2020, 2021 second-round pick. That is a lot.
And I also think it's funny how they made these the Duchesne and Dzingel trade separately.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought
I
that
think
was
that was
strange too. Like, why not just make them the same trade?
And I was also half expecting Mark Stone to go to this
I
Blue
was
Jackets.
thinking he was going to go there too, and I was like, how much are they going to get rid
And a
of for him?
separate
They only
one.
have like 2 picks.
Yeah, and that's the other thing. Columbus now has in the upcoming draft, they have a 3rd and a 7th rounder. That's it.
And they're
And
just
for a
going
team that's
all
just
in.
this is their year. They have to do it. And Columbus's GM, I can't remember if he said it or if a different GM said it, but it didn't matter what he did with what he had. He was gonna get bashed anyways. Like
Yeah,
he was in a no-win situation. Like you either go all in and see if you can give the fans something, or you do nothing with these few years of success you've had and go for another rebuild.
Yeah, everybody was wondering what was going to happen with Panarin and Bobrovsky, and I guess if you go all out in their last couple months here, that might show to them that you're going to try and bring in more people to win.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's
one way to look at it.
If it's a move of desperation to try and do something before they leave, or if it's trying to convince them to stay now that they have a supporting cast. I don't know. I was telling you before, I'm a little torn between wanting to see Columbus do very well because they've gone so aggressive at the deadline, and wanting to see them knocked out first round again. Because
just for tradition's sake.
They've never won a playoff series. You'd think with this team now would be the time to do it, but if they end up playing the Capitals in the first round, I don't want them to win, obviously.
No, of
but
course.
I mean, it's always good to see new teams do well in the playoffs, and it'd be kind of cool to see them do well and have that cannon going off in playoffs and have Columbus fans excited.
Think of, Columbus's play style. It's more gritty, hardworking, physical, I think. And compared to the likely conference final opponent in Tampa Bay, if somehow those two teams match up against each other, like that would be a interesting series, I think.
Depend on Bobrovsky.
Yeah. I mean, they've both got amazing Russian goalies. Columbus now has more firepower, more star scoring power to match up against teams in the playoffs to, score.
Yeah, if they can get some chemistry going before playoffs and go into playoffs like full throttle, that'd be I don't know. It's yet to be seen how good they are now, but
yeah, and
if they can slot into the lineup easily, maybe they don't, but
yeah, because I think they've played already, but I haven't watched them, so it's hard to say whether or not.
Duchesne played because he played against Ottawa.
Yeah, he got traded the day of a game against Ottawa, so he immediately we might add, because he did that the first time he got traded.
Yeah, against Colorado.
Plays this team he got traded from the same day. One last thing about the Columbus-Ottawa trades is that after Dzingel got traded, Duchesne chartered a private jet back to Ottawa to pick up his family, like his wife, his kid, his dog, and Ryan Dzingel.
Yeah.
And I just thought that was my new favorite tweet of the moment, because it just sounded really funny that he goes back to pick up his family and some things, and as well as his teammate.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm stealing you.
Yeah. Yeah, so, I mean, that's kind of nice to have a guy you already know, like, on the team.
Yeah, and that helps. That's huge for kind of getting comfortable in the locker room, too, for both guys.
Yeah, for sure. Well, let's move on.
So next we've got the Anaheim Ducks trading for Brandon, I'm going to say this wrong probably, but Brandon Gooley, and a conditional 2019 first rounder for Brandon Montour to send him to the Buffalo Sabres. So Montour, to my knowledge, has been a solid young defenseman. So I think, he's got a few more years of experience than some others. So him going to Buffalo would probably help quite a lot with Dahlin and Ristolainen and some of their younger guys. So I think that's a good trade for Buffalo to get. Also, he's a right shot, to my knowledge. So that's kind of a valuable asset on the back end as well.
Yeah, I think it's good trade.
Yeah.
For the Sabres.
And from what I read during the game thread with Edmonton Anaheim over the weekend, that Montour was getting his minutes cut big time in Anaheim since Murray took over coaching. So if they're not using him, why not get another defenseman and as well as a draft pick out of it?
Yeah, that one's strange because of Murray being the coach and GM.
Yeah.
Like, I don't like this guy. I'm going to trade him.
Yeah.
There's no middleman with
It's
the
awkward.
coach. Right?
Yeah.
It's just, he's out. Yeah, so I guess we'll move on. This was one that came in at like midnight. Was Detroit Red Wings acquired a 2019 second-round pick and a conditional 2020 third-round pick in exchange for Gustav Nyquist. So Gustav Nyquist was going to the Sharks.
Now, my immediate thoughts were that Nyquist doesn't sound like a Sharks player, so I don't think they made out very well in this one.
Yeah, I mean,
I just don't see the name fitting with the team for some reason. I see Nyquist more as like a duck or a penguin almost, to be honest.
I could definitely have seen Nyquist on the Penguins.
Yeah, just sounds right.
Yeah, I mean, Gustav Nyquist is a good player. He definitely can be amazing at times,
Yeah.
and I think it's a pretty good haul that the Wings got back for him. I don't know what the condition is on third round pick. I don't know what the condition on any of these picks is, by the way. I just printed the sheet off.
They're just conditional picks to what we know.
But
Gotta go check out Cap Friendly to get all that.
yeah, Nyquist has some like absolutely insane highlight reel goals, but I've seen on some highlights for D-Boss, for Dylan Larkin, where he's just going end to end, and you see Nyquist just like coasting with his stick up like at his waist. I don't know. He'll probably do well in the Sharks.
Yeah. So, and that's what I was just gonna say, that he's a talented offensive player who is going to one of the most powerful offensive teams in the league.
Yeah.
So he's going to be matched up with Thornton. He's going to get to play with Pavelski and Hurdle and all these guys who are going, and Couture, and with Carlson and Burns feeding him from the back end. He's going to go to this team where he's going to be put into an amazing chance to succeed.
Yeah.
He could be a huge contributor to the depth for the Sharks going into the playoffs, because again, like they're going all in this year.
Yeah. So the next trade is Ottawa Senators acquired from the Anaheim Ducks Brian Gibbons in exchange for Patrick Seeloff. And this one's noteworthy only because Seeloff is a guy who fought teammates and he checked.
It was Clark MacArthur. He ended MacArthur's career essentially.
Yeah.
So this guy's only notable for injuring his teammates in training camp, basically.
Being kind of a douche.
Yeah. I don't know if I think he's played like a game or two in the NHL and gotten a goal, but
it's really surprising that it took this long for them to get rid of him.
Yeah, I don't know why you would acquire a guy who does that. But I guess then again, it's Anaheim.
Yeah, I think it's just it is Anaheim, so he'll fit right in.
Yeah.
Yeah, so next up is Columbus Blue Jackets acquired from the New Jersey Devils Keith Kincaid in exchange for a 2022 fifth-round pick.
So that was the kickoff moment for trade deadline day, the TV coverage in Canada. I think that was the first trade that happened.
Yeah.
So from the sounds of it, Kincaid gave an interview with TSN during their coverage today. Basically said, Schneider's found his game again, and Mackenzie Blackwood's coming up and doing really well. So he ended up being pretty expendable.
I think he's been playing pretty bad too.
Really, I haven't watched him too much.
I wonder where he fits in with the Blue Jackets, because they've got Bob, and then they've got Korpisalo. Yeah.
I don't think Korpisalo is quite ready yet. I think unless he's progressed through the season, I don't think they were ready to trust him with the starter role yet, or with regular minutes. So maybe they just want to bring in another veteran presence to provide some like reassurance, or like a third option if they need.
Is Korpisalo waiver exempt? Can they send him down?
I actually don't know.
So I was wondering how.
I don't think he's played many
games.
Goalies. Could just be a AHL ready to get called up to the NHL when they need.
Yeah. All right. Well, I mean, that one's meh.
Yeah.
It's a fifth-round pick. I mean, seems fair.
Fifth-round pick in
Lots
like
of
3 years.
Yeah. So the next one's a pretty big one. So the Winnipeg Jets acquired from the New York Rangers Kevin Hayes in exchange for Brendan Lemieux, a 2019 first-round pick, and a conditional 2022 fourth-round pick. So what do you think about this one?
Kevin Hayes has, I don't want to say come out of nowhere, but he's really progressed rapidly to become a top NHL player. In New York, he's been like he's got a really good shot. He's a really good offensive force, and now he's getting to go to Winnipeg, where again they're like a huge offensive team that I think he fits right in. They gave up a lot for him, to be honest. I think Lemieux, but I mean, they're pushing around their depth chart, bringing in Hayes, so that probably makes one of their bottom line forwards expendable. Hence, they don't need Lemieux anymore.
Yeah, the last Jets game I watched, he was scratched.
Yeah,
that was a couple nights ago.
So Lemieux's gonna get a chance. Like he can probably be a good third or fourth line forward. He's gonna get a chance to go to a rebuilding team to make a name for himself, where he maybe wasn't getting the ice time in Winnipeg. So that's good for him. Winnipeg's getting another great offensive player to play. I'm assuming he's gonna play with like Wheeler or something to help feed him.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, Wheeler and Scheifele have been playing with line A. I think Kevin Hayes is almost like a Wheeler light. Like he's good at slowing the play down and passing, but he's also seems to be he's got a little bit of speed. So maybe he'll play on the second line with Ehlers, or I don't know.
That seems likely. I think second line makes sense with like you don't want to break up Wheeler and Scheifele. And
I mean, I watched Jets a fair bit, not every game, but it seems like Ehlers and Hayes might go well together because Hayes can slow it down and Ehlers can make space for himself by being so fast. So I don't know. I think it's great. They gave up a first and a roster player for him. Seems like fair.
And
Hayes is a great player.
Especially this, we want to call it a consolation prize in a sense because they were hard in on Mark Stone too.
Yeah, I think some teams might have been thrown off by what they were asking for Mark Stone, so they looked elsewhere.
Yeah.
And I know Kevin Hayes, his name was thrown around with Calgary a lot because he played with Johnny Ham Cheese. He actually was the one on Spit and Chicklets who said that.
Yeah.
Told that
so
story.
He made the nickname public, we'll say.
Yeah, so he played with Johnny Gaudreau at Boston College or Boston University. I don't know which one is which.
Yeah,
but
they're both Boston colleges / universities.
Yeah, so he played in Boston at university college level with him. So they were linked together. But we'll talk about Calgary at the very end. Didn't really do anything, but I like this trade for the Jets.
Yeah,
it's kind of like a better player than Stastny last year, and I think he'll slot into the lineup really well.
Yeah, his skill set makes him pretty dynamic. Like he can he's pretty versatile. He can kind of fit in. Yeah,
and I mean losing the first round pick's not too bad because they have an insane development system already. So
so I didn't even think about that fact when I was thinking about how much they gave up. But like first of all, that pick's gonna probably be a late like 25 plus.
Yeah, so
and
whatever.
They've got amazing depth already, so they can afford to give up a year.
Yeah, I mean, this is great for the Rangers too because they've been a team that have had a lot of drafts with very few draft picks.
Yeah, that's been a thing for them.
So adding up some picks for them is great. Yeah. And it's great that they're selling off like everything basically.
Yeah.
Except for Lundqvist because he wants to stay there.
Which sucks. I want to see him win a cup. After that picture of him like down on the ice, like that. That's hard to watch.
Sad Lundqvist, yeah. So we're gonna skip a couple nobody trades, but there's another one.
Take that, nobodies.
I want to talk about is Florida Panthers acquired from the Carolina Hurricanes Cliff Poo for future considerations. So if you do not remember who Cliff Poo is, he was traded from Buffalo along with a second, third, and sixth round pick to Carolina for Jeff Skinner.
Yeah, so Cliff Poo, less than a year ago, was the centerpiece of a trade for what had been a consistently very high-end scoring forward in the NHL.
Yeah, who's now second in the league for goals.
Yeah, so what are we, 8-9 months later, like whenever that trade happened? Cliff Poo is getting traded for future considerations, which essentially based off of the timeline of trades today ended up being Thomas Yurko, who is also seems to be in every other trade ever in the history of the NHL.
So
which like that's, to be honest, that's horrible asset management.
Great for Buffalo.
Great, yeah, it's great for Buffalo, but like
that they were able to get that deal.
What
happened? Not that much, especially if this guy just fell apart. Yeah, I don't know. It's
that's all I can ask is like what happened there.
Yeah, interesting. Move on.
So moving on, next we have Colorado Avalanche acquiring Derek Brassard and a conditional 2020 sixth rounder from the Florida Panthers for a 2020 third-round pick. So Brassard on the move yet again. What are your thoughts?
I thought he was going to be moved again. Definitely didn't think he was going to stay long there.
Yeah, I thought he was going to go to Columbus, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, that's what the buzz was. But I guess, I mean, they got their guys.
Yeah.
They got better players.
They probably didn't need an aging Brassard who's sort of been on the decline for a while.
Yeah, big game brass who doesn't play in big game anymore.
Yeah. Which, I mean, he's kind of taken a very quick downward turn in his production, his career production.
Yeah. I mean, it's good for Colorado, maybe get some secondary scoring, but I really don't think it's going to be enough to push him along. Colorado needed somebody else, I think.
Yeah.
Unless Brassard can turn it around.
Yeah, maybe he finds a good spot in Colorado. Maybe their system fits better with him and he can kind of refine his game.
We'll see.
Yeah. So next, I actually just had to check this because I didn't realize it was the same guy, but Columbus acquired Adam McQuaid from the Rangers for Julius Bergman. A 2019 fourth and a 2019 seventh. So I saw the name Julius Bergman. I was like, wait, that looks like the guy they just got for Duchesne.
Yeah.
And yeah, so they flipped him pretty quickly after that.
That's awesome. I didn't even notice that. That's really good.
So
makes that trade better.
Yeah, so McQuaid fits in with Columbus, I think. He's that type of physical Columbus Blue Jackets identity that's going to help solidify their back end. I imagine he's going to be a player Torts loves.
Yeah.
He probably played with Torts at one point, I think.
A lot of these Rangers probably did.
Actually, he might have been in Boston back then.
Oh yeah.
I can't remember when he left there.
Yeah, I think he'll do well in Columbus. It's gonna be interesting if they can re-sign all these guys. It's gonna be a busy off season for Columbus because either they have to sign all these people, or they're losing a lot of people and they have to get people. So
yeah, they're gonna be down at the bottom again, unfortunately. If they
have
can't figure it out,
like next to no draft picks.
None.
So
like as I mentioned before, this coming
they
draft,
might not
the
even
third and the
go.
seventh.
Like
they don't have to.
I mean, they could go
They
send
can
a representative. So if there's trades
Yeah.
that happen,
They can just send like the intern or something.
yeah, just send the kid. Like
Send the social media guy.
yeah. So I don't know. I like this trade for the Blue Jackets.
I do too. I mean, for the Rangers again, they get like their fourth and a seventh, so they're not high end picks, but they're still draft picks
You get a
nonetheless.
prospect.
And Julius Bergman, he's a prospect that I think's been flipped around a few times now.
Yeah.
But he's still a younger defenseman that could find a place in a rebuilding organization.
Such
He's
as
going to
the
get
Rangers.
a chance. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we've got another trade from the Wild where they acquired Kevin Fiala from the Predators for Mikael Granlund.
This trade's an absolute joke. I cannot believe this trade happened.
I saw that and I was like, that's it for Granlund? I always get my Granlunds mixed up, but I thought this one was good.
He's way better than Fiala. I cannot believe that Minnesota gave up Granlund for Fiala. Fiala's a good player.
Oh yeah,
Don't get me wrong.
He's a good player, but he's not.
He's
like
a
a third
Granlund's
liner.
level. Yeah.
And I'm reading about his play with Predators fans, and apparently he's not very good at puck management.
He's streaky. I mean, he's also broken his leg really badly that one year, remember? Yeah, I think this is a really strange trade.
Good for the Preds.
Predators probably just like ran out, like hung up the phone and were like, yes, as soon as they like got that. But yeah, this is a really weird trade for me. I do not understand this. Even on NHL, like the games, this would not be approved.
I doubt it. Granlund's like, again, like I can't remember which Granlund is which all the time, and I also get them mixed up with Backlund, but
he's good.
He's
like one of their top scorers.
Like I think I remember this guy being a 20 plus goal scorer.
Yeah.
And Fiala's like a depth forward.
Yeah, it's a weird one.
So
I do not like this trade for Minnesota, but if you're the Predators,
and
that's amazing.
I'm also thinking like, was it the owner gave the new Wild GM permission to, tinker a bit?
Yeah.
And he's now traded like crucial parts of the team.
Yeah, because there was the Rask for Niederreiter trade.
Niederreiter was a big offensive force for them.
Yeah, so now
Charlie Coyle
was
like, he wasn't like an outstanding player, but he was solid and dependable. And now they trade Granlund too.
I would have thought the only person to perhaps move would be Stahl.
and he just re-signed.
Yeah. So it's just so
Yeah.
bizarre.
So that I don't really know what to say about that.
Basically, this isn't going to help Minnesota at all
No.
because they got a worse player 2 times in a row. Well, not 2 times in a row, but I mean, they got Donato and they got a pick for Coyle, right?
Yep.
But they got Rask for Niederreiter.
And Niederreiter's
That was a
lighting it up.
1-for-1, right?
Yep. The
And then
trade
they
was
got
1-for-1.
And then they got Fiala for Granlund. So like, they traded their players for worse players. They didn't even get picks. What they need is picks, right? To get out of this perennial make playoffs, get out of the first round.
Perennial mediocrity.
Yeah, like either go one way or the other. Like,
Yeah, and they just kind of they didn't move
Don't
forward or
hover.
backward. They just like very awkwardly sidestepped.
yeah, it's
And I don't see
Weird.
them as a better team out of this
yeah.
this last couple weeks here.
If I was a Minnesota fan, I would be pissed off at
I'd be
this
confused.
deadline.
I'm gonna give them a chance to like kind of play into a new role in Minnesota, but like just on paper, it's
It
questionable.
Seems bad. Yeah. Anyway, we'll move on.
Yeah. So biggest trade of the day, number one on the trade bait board for a while. Well, today probably because I guess Duchesne would have been above him. But the Vegas Golden Knights acquired Mark Stone and Tobias Lindberg from the Senators for Eric Brandstrom, Oscar Lindberg, might be brothers, and a 2020 second round pick.
Fucking Vegas. They can't keep getting away with this.
They take everyone from the Jets. The Jets
Yeah.
can't let anyone they're interested in come out to the media because the Knights are going to acquire them.
I would have loved Mark Stone on the Jets.
Same.
That would have been fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Now he's in the fucking desert.
So
I can't like him now.
Like Mark Stone, they're just getting all of these great players in Vegas. Like they're it's going to be hard for them to not be good.
They've got a lot to live up to now.
Yeah. I mean, they're coming off a cup final appearance their first season. They've got expectations are sky high,
mean-
so I guess they have to live up to it.
They've lost James Neal, but they got Pacioretty.
And let's be honest, James Neal probably was probably a pretty good move.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like a great move now, but like he was a really good player.
Yeah, they lost Perron too, but
Whatever.
he's good, but they seem to have replaced that quite well.
Yeah, I mean they've added Pacioretty and now Mark Stone.
And Mark Stone, like one of the better forwards in the league, one of the best. He doesn't seem to get much recognition for defensive play, but he's insanely good at
He's
puck retention
insane
and getting the puck.
Like takeaways, like he's just so good at that.
Yeah,
So
this is gonna fit
he could
quite
be like
nicely.
a future captain of Vegas.
He was going to be the future captain in Ottawa.
Yeah, and he was really torn up.
Yeah.
About leaving Ottawa.
Which that's actually another point I want to touch on later if we don't forget about the main guys who have left Ottawa recently.
Oh, I won't forget.
Yeah.
Um,
We have to have our Ottawa segment, right?
Cue forgetting. Yeah, it's just. I'm happy for him because he gets out of the shit show, but I feel for him. 'Cause that was a really bad situation to be in, and now I can't like him because he's on Vegas. How scary are they though? Like
it's insane.
they just keep getting better. Every move they make, they keep getting
Yeah.
better.
Like the only questionable decisions that I've seen come from that organization so far are the contracts they give their guys after one season.
Yeah,
That they
and the
seem to be a
whole,
little bit-
Russian thing.
Yeah. I guess that too.
But
and let's look at this too. Mark Stone as a player, how well is he going to fit in with Vegas, their system?
yeah,
As a team that plays like a high-powered, aggressive
yeah,
trap system,
yeah.
that he's going to be amazing at getting the puck and the quick turnaround to just rush into offense immediately.
Yeah, he's gonna be great. The only thing that's questionable for me for Vegas is their defense still.
Yeah.
That's the only. If they would have got Carlson,
Ooh.
I mean, they probably
Which-
wouldn't have got.
Which I think the counter to their defense, or I guess the cover for their defense in that sense,
Is their forwards?
is their forwards and the fact that they kind of play that aggressive trappy type thing
Yeah.
that'll let everyone contribute and kind of cover for them.
Yeah, well, I guess they don't have Lucas Spiza serving up pizzas anymore either. But yeah, I mean,
And let's look at Ottawa for a sec out of this. So Eric Brandstrom is apparently, from what everyone has said about him, an A+ prospect.
yeah, he was what 15th overall or something.
Yeah, something around that. And this guy is top 10 prospects, not in North America, or top 10 players, not in the NHL or something. So, he's a defenseman. Imagine they've got the Senators already have one of the best young defensemen in Shabbat playing for them.
Yeah.
So let's look ahead a couple of years and see these two on a pairing together.
Yeah, unless Chabot gets traded too.
Yeah. Just wait until he needs to get paid.
Yeah, just wait for his contract to come up, and then he'll get moved.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, a good haul for Mark Stone.
Yeah, I think, overall it's good. It's kind of what they need.
It's not amazing.
No.
But...
And I also think it fits. It's pretty close to what the Senators wanted.
Yeah, because they wanted, what, a first?
They wanted
a
first rounder, a top prospect, and like a lower end prospect / roster player, I think.
Yeah.
So they've gotten.
So they got everything but the first, and they got a lower.
And I think the balance between Brandstrom and the second kind of evens out if Brandstrom's as good of a prospect as everyone says he is.
Yeah, it's like a better prospect compared to a pick, which might not be anybody.
Yeah.
So. Yeah.
So next we have the Nashville Predators acquiring Wayne Simmons from the Flyers for Ryan Hartman and a 2024.
This one is pretty balanced, I think.
I think so. I mean, Simmons is going to fit in well in Nashville.
He's going to be a fan favorite, I think.
I think so. I think his personality on the ice is going to get along really well with the Predators team. They're a high energy team, and Simmons has always played that type of game.
And he's playing for Laviolette again, which
Very
is huge.
True. Yeah, so former coach, I think Simmons had some really good years under him.
Yeah. Yeah, I think he's a guy who plays with like huge injuries and stuff, so he's going to be a warrior.
Yeah.
I could see him re-signing.
I think
because
so.
Nashville is probably such a fun team to play for.
Oh, totally.
The fans are so into it. It's huge energy. They're doing really well. Yeah, I could see him re-signing there.
Yeah, and I mean, Hartman, he did okay. But I think the Predators gave up a lot for him when they got him last year at the trade deadline.
Right?
Yeah, from Chicago, they gave up a first-round pick for him. So I think they gave up a lot for that. But in the long run, this seems to have worked out quite well that they now get Wayne Simmons for him.
I think Ryan Hartman will fit in with Philly too. He plays that.
He plays a Philly game.
Way. Yeah.
And he admitted this himself. When he thinks of Philly, he thinks of the picture of 5 guys down to block a shot, and that's the type of game he wants to play. That's the type of game he does play.
Yeah.
So he'll fit in well too.
It's a good trade. So next up, we got St. Louis Blues acquiring Michael Del Zotto from the Anaheim Ducks in exchange for a 2019 6th-round pick. So Del Zotto is continuing his North American tour.
Del Zotto just making the rounds this season.
Yeah, I mean, he got traded mid-game from the Vancouver Canucks to the Ducks. I don't know what it was for, probably a 7th.
It's Luke Shen.
Oh, Luke Shen, yeah.
Yeah, there's a draft pick in there too, but I can't remember which side.
Yeah, so, I mean, props for the Ducks for turning him into a 6th.
Yeah, good for them.
I don't know why the Blues would want him. I really don't.
To my
Someone else
knowledge,
to fight in practice?
Maybe. I don't know. To my knowledge, he had played okay in Anaheim.
I don't know.
I never noticed him, to be honest. I saw him take a shot once.
Yeah,
that's all I have to say about him.
Very noticeable out there.
He's moved around a lot this season, so we'll see if maybe he can contribute on the Blues defense as a bit of a veteran depth presence.
Yeah. So next up, this one is interesting to me. We have Boston Bruins acquiring Marcus Johansson from the New Jersey Devils in exchange for a 2019 2nd-round pick and a 2020 4th-round pick. So, for starters, how do you think this trade shakes up? Is it any team win, or is it balanced, or what?
I think it's pretty balanced. New Jersey, as we said before, they're kind of in like a half rebuild type stage where they need to do a bit of retooling. They get the draft picks to help them out with that. I think Johansson's a free agent.
I think so.
So, maybe he wasn't going to re-sign, so they got something for him. And looking at it from Boston's perspective, they get a scoring forward. And I think Johansson, he won't get to play with the players he might perform the best with because they kind of have that really good first line over there. But he's a speedy, to my knowledge anyways, you watch him more than I do, but he's a speedy, skilled forward with good playmaking abilities. So he can probably help out on the second line with some depth offense.
Yeah, I've watched him a lot because he used to be on the Capitals, obviously. He's definitely kind of a power play specialist. So he's really good at zone entries. So, and where TJ Oshie plays on the power play of the Capitals? He's in that slot position.
Yep.
He used to play there, so he's good at that. And he's also good at, tap-ins and deflections and stuff like that.
He's got a good stick.
Yeah. However, I think this is a pretty balanced trade, but it's weird that Boston picked him up because Mojo was hurt by Marchand. Like what? Like last season?
Yeah, that was the concussion.
Yeah, Marchand hit him with a fucking huge elbow, and now he's on that team.
He did say today that he would much rather play with Marchand than against him. So
Yeah, I mean,
he's got that going for him.
He's got a sense of humor.
Yeah.
He was a fan favorite in Washington. I'm sure he was loved in New Jersey. He obviously didn't play as much as fans there probably would have hoped, but
Yeah.
that's nothing against him. I think he'll really help Boston.
That's going to be
I'm not
tough in their division,
sure-
so they're going to need it.
I'm not sure how their power play is doing, but he can only help.
Yeah.
He's definitely a very offensively
feel
minded
like-
forward.
I feel like Boston's power play is going to be set for the first unit anyways, but he's going to help out a lot providing some punch to
Yeah.
that second one.
Yeah, I'll probably play with like Krejci.
That's what I figure.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think this is a good trade, but weird. Reminds me of Manning going to the Oilers because
Gagne back to the Oilers.
yeah, I'm at least
Noticing
this
a
time,
trend here.
At least this time, it's not bringing Marchand to the Rangers. It's moving the former injured player to Boston. But yeah, I mean,
I feel like these guys a lot of the time won't hold too much of a grudge against each other and kind of put it behind them at a point.
Plus, it's a good. He's going from a shitty team to a good team.
Yeah, he's going to be excited to go play in Boston because they're a perennially a very good team, and it's going to be fun. Like Boston's going to need all help they can get to get out of that Atlantic Division.
Yeah, I'm not used to. He's definitely not a typical Bruins player, though.
No,
like he's not that tough. Like
he's not a big bad Bruin
guy. Yeah, he's definitely like a bit softer of a player. Again, nothing against him, but that's just how he plays.
What's going on, Don Cherry?
Yeah, no, I love him as
Yeah.
a player. I miss him
no
on the
doubt.
Capitals, but all things considered, it worked out okay. But
At a certain point, it becomes useful to have a whole bunch of different types of players.
yeah, that's true. That's definitely true. And maybe he'll change his game up a little bit. I don't know. Anyway, speaking of kind of a bit of a harder-nosed player, so the Winnipeg Jets acquired from Minnesota Wild Matt Hendricks in exchange for a 2020 7th-round pick.
So this trade might not look significant on the surface, considering Hendricks is not a regular roster player anymore, and he got traded for a 7th, but the presence of Matt Hendricks in the locker room is absolutely outstanding, and you cannot put a value on it.
Intangible.
So much. Like, Matt Hendricks is the definition of intangibles for these types of depth guys. This is a guy who is incredibly hard-nosed. He can do pretty much anything. He's obviously a fourth-line player, borderline healthy scratch most of the time, but he's a hard-nosed grinder who does not shy away from any type of physical contact. And when he was in Edmonton, even though he ended up on the fourth line or third line, he was a wagon.
Yeah.
Like he's he was on our wagon line.
Yeah, he's a great guy.
Yeah, and even if he's not playing, this is a type of guy who it's worth giving up a 7th-round draft pick for to get his presence in the locker room when you're going into a playoff run.
Yeah, I think it's a great pickup.
Yeah.
Like, probably their best move of the day.
Honestly, yeah.
I mean, they did a few little things here and there, but this one's probably the most significant.
Yeah. So this, he's going to come in, he's going to block shots, he's going to be on the penalty kill, he's going to throw some hits, he's going to be a leader.
Yeah, maybe let's just jump to this next one up here. Because the Jets also acquired Nathan Beaulieu from Buffalo Sabres in exchange for a 2019 6th.
Yeah, so I guess we're coming off of Josh Morrissey possibly being injured for a while. And
yeah, so I think Beaulieu's
depth.
a good depth D-man.
Yeah.
He can definitely play.
Yeah.
So,
I don't think you want him playing top 4 regular minutes, but he's able to jump in and fill a role when needed.
And this is good for Buffalo because I don't think Beaulieu was even playing that much.
No.
So it's good that they were able to move him and get something for him and take advantage of a team needing a D-man.
Exactly.
So, yeah, like we said, Matt Hendricks is definitely probably more significant, but Beaulieu might be getting more minutes.
Yeah.
But, there's also, Pittsburgh Penguins, this one's weird to me too. Pittsburgh Penguins acquired from the Vancouver Canucks Eric Goodbranson in exchange for Tanner Pearson.
Yeah, I guess, Tanner Pearson's fallen off the face of the earth this season.
Yeah.
I always thought of him as a pretty decent player, but I guess he has not been very good in LA, which got him traded, and then he sucked in Pittsburgh, which got him traded again.
Yeah. I mean, Goodbranson seems like such an old school D-man.
Yeah, it's weird that he's been able to stay in the league this long because he's a defenseman from 2010.
And I'm okay with Pittsburgh picking up slow D-men. I like it. Maybe him and Jack Johnson can be a pairing.
No ulterior motives there.
Yeah. I'd love if there could be a Goodbranson and Jack Johnson pairing. I would absolutely love it. They probably wouldn't even make playoffs with that pairing, to be honest.
I mean, they're in a race right now. Like, they don't even have a verified spot, and they just kind of lost Letang and Dumoulin in the same game.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think Letang's day-to-day, but I haven't heard anything on Dumoulin yet.
Yeah, the only thing I saw is that Simmons wasn't going to get any hearing or anything.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know. It seems like a weird move for the Penguins, but their GM seems to be losing it a little bit.
Yeah, he's not had a good couple of years after those cups.
Rutherford definitely seems to be signing some slow and interesting players.
Yeah, that was a criticism I'd seen about him this year with some of his moves, and he's making some questionable signings, giving a lot of money to some weird sources and making trades that are just a bit
Yeah, I mean, I guess
off.
it's desperation, and maybe Goodbranson's the only D-man they were able to get, but I'm surprised that nobody went for Tanev. Like,
There was a lot of heat around him.
I heard Toronto was in on him.
Yeah. So I mean, Vancouver, obviously they didn't expect to be in a playoff push. So they probably didn't want to trade him unless they got a really, really good offer back. And if Pittsburgh was offering up Eric or Tanner Pearson, you're not going to want to give up Goodbranson for that, or Tanev for that, pardon me.
Yeah, it just seems like a weird move for Pittsburgh for me.
So moving into this one as well that you wanted me to mention, the Pittsburgh Penguins getting Chris Weidman from the Panthers for Jean-Sebastien Dea.
Yeah, so this one's, again, I guess they need depth D-men because they're potentially injured two of their top four D-men. It's just, I mean, Weidman couldn't crack the Oilers.
Yeah, he played himself out of the Oilers roster in like 5 games.
Yeah. So
And
again,
like,
I'm
this
okay
is the
with
Oilers
the Penguins
when they were
having
down
this.
2 defensemen.
Yeah, I would rather those guys play than like their farm guys, because when their farm guys came up, they won a cup.
Yeah. so random
please,
trades is better.
Play Jack Johnson, play Chris Weidman, and please play Eric Goodbranson. Yeah.
Again, no ulterior motives.
No, definitely not.
Okay, so now we look at the Toronto Maple Leafs move for the day. So they got Nick Petan from the Jets for Par Lindholm. Relatively meh move. Pretty straight across. I don't really know why.
Yeah, I think Petan has an extra year left.
Okay. I think Petan's a little bit more of a physical guy than Lindholm.
To be honest, I don't know. I think Par Lindholm was playing kind of poorly for Toronto, but
that might have been the key reason then.
I don't know. It's kind of a whatever kind of trade in my eyes.
Here's a good one to end off the day. The San Jose Sharks sent Carlson to the Canucks for Dahlin.
Yeah, what a overpay.
So to clarify, San Jose Sharks traded Linus Carlson to the Canucks for Jonathan Dahlin.
Yeah, so Jonathan Dahlin was the guy that Vancouver fans were super pumped that they got in return for trading Alexander Burrows to the Ottawa Senators.
And I mean, I was too, like, because he was supposed to be a really good prospect, and I was amazed that they managed to get him for Burrows. But now maybe someone was a little bit smarter.
Yeah, I guess he
hasn't come.
He hasn't come over yet, so I guess
maybe there's a risk of him staying, or maybe he just isn't going to pan out in the NHL.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, whatever. Another kind of meh move. AHL guys, maybe.
Yeah. So that ends the trades for the day.
Yeah. So some pretty big moves. Being made.
I think this year, I'm trying to think back on other years, but in terms of high pedigree players on the move, we had a few more this year than in past years.
Yeah, and there was even like some guys being moved around before the deadline, and then there was still a lot of movement today.
Yeah. So, which, like, cool. I mean, I got to watch something interesting while I was at work today, and that was fun.
Yeah, it's definitely a lot of moves. Some people weren't expecting to move, but also most of the people on that TSN trade list were moved.
I think the ones highest up on the list were all taken care of.
Yeah, everybody but Panarin and Bobrovsky, I guess.
Which, I mean, once Duchesne got traded, they got taken off pretty quickly.
Yeah. So
let's,
maybe let's jump into who we thought did well today.
Yeah.
So
first off, I think we do have to say the Ottawa Senators did well today.
Yeah, it hurts, but I think
it's
they
a
did well.
heartbreaking one, and this is what I didn't want to forget to say, that it hurts so much because Karlsson, Duchesne, and Stone all seemed very heartbroken to have to leave Ottawa. That they did like it there, they wanted to stay, but something meant they couldn't.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, the organization at some level isn't allowing them to stay.
The top.
Yeah. Cough, cough.
Yeah.
But ultimately, they were put in a shit situation to have to trade their two best players, well, three best players with Dzingel too, don't forget him. And they came out and got what's going to help them in their rebuild, because even Melnick said he wants to be 2021 competitive.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely what they need. It doesn't really make sense to hang on to those good players if you're not going to do anything.
Yeah,
so you might as well just trade them for picks.
They're last in the league right now, I think, so there's no point in keeping these UFAs who are going to leave for nothing. So they got a whole bunch of prospects, they got some draft picks, and unfortunately they had to lose their identity, but they got what they needed. So I think, like you said, though, it's heartbreaking they won.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like a win.
No.
If you're a Senators fan.
It's a win you have to look hard at to see.
You'll have some guys to cheer for in the playoffs.
Yes. And it can be a win for Sens fans too, that they'll be able to go watch some of their favorite players light it up in other teams.
It's very sad consolation prize.
Bittersweet.
Yeah. It's tough.
Yeah.
I really feel bad for Ottawa.
Yeah.
Despite how much we've been shitting on them, I feel bad that
Well, I mean, we're not shitting on Ottawa, the city, Ottawa, the fans, Ottawa, the team, Ottawa, the players. It's the organizational situation.
Yeah.
That is just a joke.
Yeah, it really is. So they won.
Yeah.
Although it doesn't sound like it.
Oh, and we do need to clarify, make sure this is known, that they are still a team.
Yeah, Dorian made sure we all still remember.
In their end of day press conference, Dorian made it clear that they were still a team containing people.
Yeah, he listed off the entire roster.
And some prospects.
What a...
Don't forget, we still have players.
Yeah. We are still a team, guys.
Yeah. The next team that we think came out on the top today, the Vegas Golden Knights. They got
they
the best player.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they didn't overpay as much as they did last year, too.
No.
They didn't give up a first, second, and third.
Yeah, amazingly,
Thomas
Mark Stone,
Tatar
how much
level.
better than Thomas Tatar is Mark Stone? And they
A
gave up
lot.
way less.
Yeah.
I think. Maybe that first round pick wouldn't have been used for much anyways, but hey, that was they made a good trade. They got the best, probably the best player on the board today.
Yeah, they got the best guy and they didn't overpay, which is important.
And it's going to help them in their playoff run this year, so they can afford to lose the one prospect that was going to have a huge impact on their team.
Yeah, they did really well for themselves.
Yeah. Next, Winnipeg Jets.
Yeah, a lot of little moves, but if it ain't broke, don't fix it, right?
Yeah. So this is something Kevin Cheveldayoff has been amazing at in his time at the Jets, is putting together a team and knowing what different pieces need to be there to succeed.
Yeah, I mean, they got a good addition in Kevin Hayes.
Yeah.
And I think that'll make them good for, better for playoffs.
And, again, I need to mention Matt Hendricks coming in.
Yeah.
That's huge.
Yeah, they got some good roster players. And, they kind of got some depth, just a little extra depth. Yeah, I think they did really well for themselves. They didn't go for broke like Columbus did.
Yeah.
And
they didn't have to sell a whole lot either to get what they did.
Yeah, and that's just a well-managed team.
Very.
And if things are going well, you do not have to give up everything, right?
Yep.
So.
And like you had mentioned, they gave up a first, but chances are that was going to be a late first, and they didn't need it per se. They've got enough young guys.
Yeah.
And lastly, the New York Rangers. Unfortunately, again, the same situation as Ottawa, where they gave up a couple of guys, or a few guys who were a big part of their team, a big part of their dressing room.
Mm-hmm.
but they got what they needed to accomplish their short-term goals. So I think ultimately they came out on top today.
Yeah, I think they did pretty well. Another team that I don't have written down here for our good, but I think Detroit did pretty well. I mean, they didn't really make too many moves, but they were able to get some picks back for some players, and
They traded Nyquist and who else? I can't remember.
They got rid of Jensen to the Capitals.
Right.
But there was talks of like Nicholas Kronwall being traded to
No one's
Columbus.
taking that contract.
Yeah,
Columbus isn't taking that
but
contract.
that's just a guy that you just have retire for the Wings. Like
Kronwall's retiring a Red Wing.
and like there was talk of like Howard moving too. It didn't happen, but I mean the return on goalies wasn't that
But
great.
it never is.
So.
It's always less than you think.
Yeah, so I think they did pretty well, and moving forward, I hope they'll be competitive again.
Yeah, they've got a few decent prospects, and now it's time for them to work their Detroit magic again and find some gems and develop
Start the
them.
new streak.
Yeah.
Yeah. So and then we have kind of on the fence is Columbus. So depending on how they do this playoff run, it could be a very, very good deadline, or it could be one of the worst of all time.
Yeah.
I think.
This one, this is the only team that we can't say they did good or bad right now. Because they got a lot of good players. Yeah, they got a lot of good players. They got what they needed, but they basically mortgaged their entire future on this.
Yeah, I mean they got a lot of players till June.
Yeah,
like
and now they've got. I mean, let's just looking ahead, like the players that they have are gonna be like 5 of the top 10 UFAs.
Yeah.
So
that's
they're
not a good position to be in.
No. You don't want to lose, half of your top end players in a day and get nothing back for them unless they somehow manage to dump off the rights at the draft if they know they're not going to re-sign.
Yeah, it's very, very strange, and they don't have anything in the draft.
Yeah.
So they're gonna
and they gave away some of their best prospects.
It's a good thing they don't have anything at the draft because they're gonna have too much time spent signing players.
They're not going to have time to go up and shake Bettman's hand.
They don't have time to go up there. Like they're going to have to sign a lot of players.
Yeah. And
UFAs.
I forgot what I was going to say.
I mean,
we're not going to know if they, this could be great for them because this is an organization that they've been in the league for coming up 20 years. They've never won a playoff series. So these might be the guys to take them on a nice little playoff run here.
It's cool to see a team go balls out. I'm glad it's not my team.
Yes. We don't see it very often where a team completely goes and makes a huge risk like that, but let's see how it goes.
If it pans out, it could be amazing, but it's hard to win.
Yeah.
And if they don't win the cup, if they make it to the conference finals, is that worth it?
Yeah, it's hard to say.
Because then do the players say, "Oh, we made it this far, we better stay," or they may be like, "Hey, fuck it, I'm out of here," right?
Yeah.
So, I don't know. It's tough. And you're in a division with the Penguins, the Capitals.
These are, experienced
Islanders.
playoff teams. Like you can never even if Pittsburgh makes it as the second wild card, you can never discount them.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. They'll probably be good, but who knows? Anyway, let's move on to bad. So our number one here that we think is bad, more so unlucky, is Dallas.
Yeah, so that's just terribly unfortunate what happened to Zuccarello in his first game there.
Yeah, it's kind of surprising they went after some bigger names like Zuccarello, but
to be honest, like one of the teams with the most offensive firepower in the league, and they still go after an offensive forward, but I guess they needed depth.
Yeah, it just, again, it's more unlucky that Zook got hurt. And then, like, what do you do? Like,
there's like you said, like this, it's unlucky. It's not that they did bad; they made the wrong move going after him, but it's just unlucky. So ultimately, they lost on the day because their acquisition went and unfortunately got injured immediately.
Yeah. So more traditionally bad, we have Carolina.
Yeah, so they traded Jeff Skinner for nothing.
Basically.
I mean, they still have the draft picks, I guess, that they can use, but
yeah.
I mean, at this point, I think it's a 3rd and a 6th left. What are they going to turn into?
They're in the race for playoffs still, and they didn't really get better.
Yeah. Like, they kept Furland, and they called it something like we're keeping our own rental or something.
Yeah. Like, they could have moved that to anybody.
Yeah.
There was lost teams in.
Oh, tons.
Yeah, I mean, we have some other teams that are on missed opportunity list that we'll get to, but I feel like Carolina is just worse.
I think the fact that we put them in a bad list because they traded Pooh for nothing.
They traded Pooh for shit, man.
Yeah. They got shit all for Pooh.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just they're that close to making playoffs and they didn't do anything substantial. Yeah. And again, Skinner for nothing. So
yeah.
All right, so next up in our bad list, we have Minnesota.
So
just bad moves.
I think so. I'm totally on board with that.
The other two were a little bit different, but this one's just poor trades.
I think so. Bad valuation or asset management. I'm not sure which.
All of the other trades made today and up to the deadline, I think, were pretty fair.
I think so. They might not have been straight across value-wise, but they filled the need for what the team needed at the time.
Yeah, but the Minnesota trades are just objectively bad.
Yeah, and the thing with Minnesota's trades, they're trading 1-for-1 forwards. Like, I don't know what that accomplishes. They're not.
It doesn't make the team better, and it doesn't make their future brighter.
Yeah.
So what's the point?
It's just trades for the sake of trades, and these are core players.
I mean, is there a salary content? Like, is there some sort of salary issue? Is that why they made these trades? I don't know, but it just seems like a very strange move, and they didn't go after anybody else. So even if it was salary, it's not like they got anybody with that extra money.
They re-signed Eric Stahl. That's all.
Yeah. So.
And I don't think they needed to make those moves to free up the $2 million I think he got.
Yeah, it's just bad deadline for them.
I think so.
And the missed opportunity, the biggest one I think is New York Islanders.
Yeah. So I'm going to play one thing with the if it ain't broke, don't fix it that you use on the Jets.
Yeah.
So they're doing well with what they have. Did they really need to get anybody? Probably not. But they're not a team that was expected to be there, and it probably would have been nice for them to get some firepower going into the playoffs.
Yeah, and I think like they're overachieving. So in playoffs, they definitely need somebody to bring the team up to a higher skill level and just.
I agree.
I don't know. I don't think they're a playoff team. I just don't.
As they're first in the division. No, I understand what you mean. That nobody expected them to be here. They're overperforming and they're playing on the backs of insanely hot goaltending.
I just think once the team meets them in playoffs and starts putting the body on them, like, what's his name? I can't remember. The fast
Barzal.
Once people start hitting Barzal, like, I don't know.
Yeah. Are they going to be able to transition well enough into playoff hockey?
I mean, I guess they got Barry, but.
Well, they do have that line with like Martin Komarov and Clutterbuck.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, they send them out a lot. But
yeah, I just don't think that they're good enough to get far in playoffs.
Yeah, they're kind of this year's team that's vastly overperformed expectations and played well over what they
got space
what they
too,
should be.
Like,
yeah.
So whatever.
And I think their major one I think is Anders Lee is a UFA I think, and Jordan Eberle.
Yeah.
Coming up, and like Eberle is going to get less than what he's paid now. I think.
Yeah, and another missed opportunity. Even though they did make some trades at Boston, so they were supposedly big in on some big name players, and they didn't get them. Oh, my voice is just cracking all day.
I think they were pushing hard for Stone and for Hayes.
Yeah,
and they lost out on both of them. So they didn't have a bad day per se, but they did have a missed opportunities day.
Yeah, another one I want to add to this list is Calgary.
Yeah,
Calgary
didn't do
was
much.
in on everybody apparently.
Yeah.
And
they were close on Stone.
All they made is a depth D-man trade, which we didn't even say because it's not
it was Fantenberg.
Really worth mentioning.
Sounds like a soda.
Yeah. So like they missed out on Stone, they missed out on Hayes, they missed out on everybody, and Ferland, getting Ferland back.
And they were also on Ferland a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
So I mean, ultimately, Treliving, their GM, said we didn't want to mortgage the future for one playoff run, which I can understand because this is their first year
and again,
back.
It's if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But like this playoffs is gonna be hard. Like,
well, I think they're first in the division, so they're gonna play the Western wildcard race.
Yeah. Well.
So this,
But I
might
think
not be as difficult as it sounds.
out of everybody, like, they could have used a better goalie probably.
I think so. Riddick seems to have come back down to earth, and Mike Smith is good, but inconsistent.
Yeah. So maybe like they should have been on. I don't even know if Howard is better, but I mean maybe Bobrovsky.
No, they could have been.
I don't know. Who knows? But I feel like they probably should have made a couple moves at least. So. But maybe to wrap things up, that's kind of our trade.
I think that covers
edition.
Pretty much all of our trade deadline coverage, our thoughts and opinions on what just happened today.
Yeah, but there was a little issue of the best player in the league getting suspended.
Yeah,
maybe let's talk about that for a second.
So Connor McDavid delivered a shoulder/upper arm to the head of Nick Leddy on the weekend and got suspended for 2 games. I think it deserved a suspension.
Yeah.
He hit someone in the head, he gets suspended. It's quite as simple as that for me. I don't think there's room for interpretation on like, oh, he was trying to get out of the way. He lifted his leg a little bit like he was trying to lean up, but he hit a guy in the head, he gets suspended. I think that's as far as it goes.
I think it's good that the NHL is not shying away from suspending the top talent.
Yeah.
And I think it was worth it. And
now, this suspension is incredibly controversial for 2 main reasons. The first being that McDavid has had multiple headshots and cross-checks that should have been suspended delivered to him throughout the season, and there was not even a call on the play, which brings again to question, we've talked about this in the past, the consistency of the player safety and suspending, which, like, why is McDavid getting suspended for this when there was Doughty and Lindholm cross-checked or elbowed and cross-checked him dirtily, I might add, and didn't get anything for it. Doughty was laughing on the bench after.
Yeah, and then, like, was it the very next game? Perry elbowed a nurse in the head.
So Corey Perry, the next game after, I want to say the right call on a goalie interference waved off, but Corey Perry came and gave a forearm shiver to Darnell Nurse's face. And there was no call on the play and no suspension, not even a hearing. And like I tried to look at this objectively. I went and looked to see when Nurse went down relative to Perry's arm going out. And Perry's arm didn't go out until after Nurse was already falling, which, like, you can argue, okay, real time, it's going to be different, but I don't know what, I guess their time threshold wasn't enough. So we're seeing that happen where Perry doesn't get anything, and this is Corey Perry. Like, I don't think is it the player and the intention and their history aren't supposed to factor in? It's the play itself.
Are you trying to say that Corey Perry is a dirty player and McDavid's clean? Because if you are, get the fuck out of here. That's stupid.
Yeah, so, I mean, it's like I said, it's Corey Perry.
Yeah.
And
you'd think if anybody was given the benefit of the doubt, it'd be McDavid.
Yeah. And to be honest, like I said, McDavid should have been suspended. He hit a guy in the head. But why is Perry not getting anything?
Yeah, for doing the same thing.
And this is just, again, the consistency with these punishments, and even on the ice.
Yeah, it's pretty bullshit.
Yeah.
Pretty bullshit. I don't know what else to say.
Yeah, neither do I. I'm at a loss for words.
Yeah, I really hope that one day there'll be someone in DOPS who fucking
puts that fucking wheel away. And
throw the wheel out, recycles the wheel.
Yeah.
And looks at things objectively and applies the same principles and criteria to every hit worthy of a suspension.
Yes.
Rather than, like, it's almost like they're too busy or something and they don't look at it, you know, like, oh, we got shit to do. We can't look at today's games. We got to look at what McDavid's suspension should be or something.
Yeah, and like hockey is so dynamic that it's hard to equate 2 plays to each other. So it's hard for us to sit here and compare 2 things when we don't know what their criteria are, we don't know how they compare different plays, and we don't know how they develop the precedent. But they need to either be more clear about why certain things are suspended and why some aren't, which they do a little bit of with their videos, or they need to start actually applying their rules properly, because it doesn't seem like they are sometimes.
I don't know. I mean, I know when I refereed minor hockey, like the referee, anytime you kick somebody out, you write a game report. I'm sure the refs in the NHL do too. but there's video and stuff too. So the refs write a report and then send that into the league, and then it's evaluated, and then there might be a hearing or something, and then the player is handed a suspension based off of, all the different evidence recorded. But I don't know what's going on in the NHL. If it's a referee thing, the referee says, like, based upon the rest of the game, I don't find it worthy of a major or whatever. Because, a lot of those times there's, like, no call on the play. So, like, what the fuck happens? Because then you have non-referees making a penalty decision, right? So, and, like, it's just so tough. Like, after the fact, officiating a game, like, you weren't there, you don't know, you weren't on the ice, you don't know if that guy said something. I don't know. It's just,
it's
weird,
so hard.
and it just seems like if there is a precedent set, they're not following it.
Totally. They develop their own precedent for each one.
Like, look at the
it was Oshie and Pedersen.
Yeah,
Peterson.
the exact fucking same play. And Oshie's looked even more violent because Oshie's a bigger guy, and Morrissey fucking threw him down. And Oshie weighs like 190 pounds, not 150.
Yeah.
And like, what's the difference between those two plays? They're literally the exact same thing, pushing someone down. So how is that worthy of suspension one time and not worthy of a suspension another? It's just such bullshit.
So this is where the league or the Department of Player Safety really has to start. This might come with experience as this type of stuff gets enforced more often, but they really need to work on that consistency aspect in their rulings.
I think the NHLPA needs to get involved because there's so many headshots and only 50% or less are being suspended. So
that's an awkward position for the PA though, because they're defending the attacker and the injured. Or the
that's like
recipient,
the whole Tom Wilson appeal thing, right?
Yeah.
But it's just like, I don't know, something's got to change.
Yeah.
It's just so frustrating, and to have your player be out as a result of one of those hits and not have any sort of satisfaction, right? I don't know. I guess that's our whole episode.
Yeah, we'll end off on a rant about the Department of Player Safety.
We'll wrap things up here. We'll be back. We'll check in how some of these players are doing with their new teams, and once the dust settles, we'll see how everything's going on.
Yeah, so once again, thanks for listening. We appreciate it. Make sure check us out Instagram and Twitter.
And we'll check in on you guys next time.
See